So what do we do if we have an issue with RF groups and mobility groups in our environment? What are the troubleshooting options for us? Well, let's talk about some of the common issues with these two. We'll start with RF groups. First off, with RF groups, you want to make sure that the name is actually correct. This is much like we would see with SSIDs. The name has to be exactly right, and the case has to be right, and it's case sensitive as well. The next thing we need to do is make sure that our size capacity is right. We max out at about 20 wireless LAN controllers for our RF groups. When we do that, you have to make sure that what? That your APs match. Now, your AP is going to vary depending on the wireless LAN controllers you put into your environment. So the APs will vary. 20 wireless LAN controllers, though, is a hard line in the sand. Another thing we need to be worried about is no network path. If we don't have a network path for this information, we aren't going anywhere. So we have to make sure we have a network path in the RF group to look at it. So where do we find this in our environments? Again, we look under controllers, and we're not in a mobility group. We're really looking at our general configuration here. And then when we scroll down, you can see the RF group name is right there. That's where we really want to make sure that that group name is the same. Again, we size about 20, and then we have to ensure that we do have our network path to get to where we're going. But that's not the only thing we want to troubleshoot here or be aware of the common issues. We want to be aware of mobility groups as well. What can go wrong within a mobility group? Well, some of the things to keep track of is this. Are these addresses pingable here in this mobility group? Can I ping these public IP addresses or private IP address, however they may be? Again, our group name has to be the same. So pod one has to be the same as the mobility group members themselves. It is case sensitive again. That seems to be a running theme in our environment. We also need to make sure that our status is up at the data link and peer levels. So how do we find this in our environments to ensure that this is all true? Well, we look at our controllers and then we click on mobility groups. Once we click on mobility groups, you can see I have an IP address associated with this right here. The group name is default. I haven't changed anything. But if I want anybody else to participate in this same mobility group, it's got to say default. It's got to be a capital D. You can see that the status is up for this particular environment, and we have a hash key, which wouldn't really cause any issues for this environment commonly. We wouldn't see that as a common issue. But those are the things I would look at to ensure that we were up and running. Those are my troubleshooting spots.